With voting day fast approaching, presidential hopefuls continued their campaigns today. The DP's Jae-myung in Seoul and the PPP's Kimunsu in the Gyeongsang-do area making pledges of their own. Early voting begins tomorrow. The number of births in the first quarter of this year posted the highest in 3 years, as more people tied the knot. Gaza marks a grim milestone, 600 days into the war between Israel and Hamas. Food aid started being distributed to people there, apparently not enough to ease the suffering of millions of Gazans. It's May 28th, 8 p.m. in Seoul. This is Newscenter. Thank you for joining us. I'm Yoon Jung-min. Ahead of early voting tomorrow, the DP's Jae-myung toured the capital seeking voter support. The party also focused on asking for stronger voter participation. Our campaign correspondent Shin Ha-young reports. A day before early voting begins for the snap presidential election, Democratic Party candidate Lee Jae-myung visited eastern Seoul, which the party describes as a region that shows Seoul's past, present, and future.
Lee Jae-myung's campaign on Wednesday is focusing on attracting support from voters in the capital by sharing his plan to make Eastern Seoul not only a new hub for business, culture, and transportation growth, but also, as a result, a better place to live.
Ahead of Wednesday's rally, Lee joined a live YouTube broadcast where he emphasized his commitment to push South Korea's benchmark index, the KOSPI, to 5,000 points and outlined plans for stock market reform.
South Korea's conservative governments have not been typical conservative governments, which has made them irrational. The economy relies on rationality and predictability. With little economic policy and frequent corporate abuses, the market stayed weak. Fixing these issues could boost the market by 200 to 300 points.
Meanwhile, the DP focused on getting people out to the polls, urging the public to vote to end what the party described as an insurrection.
Let's bring peace, revive the economy, and unite the country by taking part in early voting this Thursday and Friday. Everyone, please make sure to vote. Your vote is more powerful than guns and swords.
Floor leader and acting chairman Park Chan-dae, who also serves as a chair of the presidential campaign committee, also noted that overseas voter turnout had reached a record high, reflecting a strong desire among Koreans abroad for peace and change in the country. He stressed that it is now up to voters in South Korea to carry that momentum forward. He is expected to cast his vote in Seoul's Sinchon on the first day of early voting and encourage others to take part as well. Eyeong, Arirang News. The PPP's Kimunsu was in the southeast, where the party's traditional voters are concentrated. As for his voting method, he's going to vote in his major rival's congressional district. Our campaign correspondent Kim Do-yeon reports.
Uniting traditional supporters of the party amid the impeachment fallout was People Power Party candidate Kim Munsu's final move before the start of the early voting. On Wednesday, Kim toured in Gyeongsang-do region, a traditional conservative stronghold, which he certainly needs to secure for any chance of turning things around in the election. While targeting local voters, he also appealed to younger voters by visiting a university in the region and pledged more jobs and opportunities.
It's not just about simply providing jobs. Within this system, professors and students actually run research labs themselves, develop new ideas there, try launching startups based on those ideas, and we support them until they succeed. Once they do, they move out and continue on their own. That's the process.
During his rallies, he also pledged an express railway system in the region to connect all major metropolitan cities to ensure they're reachable within 1 hour for a better commute. Throughout the region, he stopped at 7 cities in total, including here in Yeongcheon, his birthplace. To add to his efforts to boost support, he called this specific rally Mom Munsu's Home. Meanwhile, the camp also revealed that Kim will participate in early voting on Thursday. For this, he's going straight to the lion's den by casting a ballot at a voting center in his DP rival Lee Jae-myung's congressional district. But the camp says it's more than that.
To put meaning into voting in Incheon, it's not only Lee Jae-myung's home district, but also the historic city where the Incheon landing operation turned the tide of the Korean War, preventing a communist takeover and paving the way for South Korea's post-war transformation.
Meanwhile, the ship for any last-minute merger with the Reform Party seems to have sailed, as Wednesday was the realistic deadline, and communication between the two parties has been severed for some time. The PPP claimed that a three-way race has its own benefits, with Reform Party voters changing their minds as their votes seem like a waste in the end. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News, Yeongcheon.
Reform Party candidate Ejun Suk also continued his campaign today while reiterating his resolve to remain in the race. He held a lunchtime rally at Yeouido Park with white-collar workers before heading to Gangnam Station and COEX in southern Seoul to touch base with young voters and startup company workers. Starting later this evening until the last day of the official campaign period, Lee plans to engage in overnight events to interact with voters one-on-one. Also earlier in the day, he apologized for his use of crude language during Tuesday's presidential debates while referencing alleged remarks by the son of Democratic Party candidate Lee Jae-myung. Speaking of the debates, a discussion to share visions for the next 5 years too often changed course to wage attacks against each other. The final debate yesterday was no exception, with candidates exchanging personal criticisms as they shared their own views on foreign policy and politics. Ian has the highlights.
The final presidential TV debate on Tuesday took off with intense verbal exchanges as the four leading candidates clashed over their visions for foreign policy and domestic political reform. Democratic Party candidate Lee Jae-myung called the South Korea-U.S. alliance the foundation of Korea's diplomacy and even said trilateral cooperation with Japan is necessary. But he maintained his stance that Seoul shouldn't neglect ties with China and Russia.
We must manage our relations well. There is no need to antagonize them as we are doing now.
People Power Party Kimunsu raised concern over Lee's alleged involvement in an illegal remittance to North Korea, saying it was fattening the Kim Jong-un regime and its missile and nuclear threat.
I will strengthen nuclear deterrence and enhance our defense capability to build a Republic of Korea that will not be shaken by any threat.
Responding to a question from Lee, Kim Moon-soo said nuclear weapons should be pursued if it is possible within the scope of the South Korea-U.S. alliance, and also suggested nuclear sharing arrangements similar to NATO's or a Korean-style model. Lee criticized this stance, saying that denuclearization of the Korean peninsula is already a given. Meanwhile, the Reform Party's Ejun Suk criticized both the DP and PPP for simply aligning with larger powers and pledged practical ways to overcome Korea's security crisis.
I will elevate South Korea from a nation that depends on alliances to one that designs and leads them.
He said he'd coordinate policy on foreign affairs, unification, defense, and internal affairs with the Deputy Prime Minister for Security and by merging the foreign affairs and unification ministries. He also suggested establishing joint South Korea-U.S. military logistics facilities to produce shells and fill the U.S. ammunition gap, and replacing increases in defense cost-sharing with the supply of Korean-made weapons. He also questioned the DP candidate over his past claims on America's deployment of the THAAD missile defense system to South Korea, saying that such claims align with the views of China and conspiracy theorists. Lee Jae-myung said it is inappropriate to continue fueling controversy over the matter. He also said there was no evidence of his alleged remittance to North Korea. Meanwhile, Democratic Labour Party candidate Kwon Young-guk declared that he would appoint a civilian as defense minister and dismantle elite military factions.
I will create a scene where the U.S. and North Korea establish diplomatic ties. Based on active exchanges, I will realize peace on the Korean peninsula.
The 2-hour debate was also intended to address domestic political reform, but was overridden by mudslinging, targeting Lee Jae-myung's ongoing criminal trials and his party's push for legal revision and judiciary reform, an apparent attempt to exonerate him. Kimunsu, meanwhile, was criticized for his association with impeached President Yoon, as other candidates called to close the chapter on the dark legacy of martial law. Eun, Arirang News.
Early voting for South Korea's 21st presidential election will begin on Thursday and run for 2 days at more than 3,500 polling stations nationwide. Polling hours are from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and ballots can be cast at any early voting station regardless of the voter's registered address. A valid form of identification is required, such as a resident registration card, passport, or driver's license. Mobile ID presented via an official app is also accepted, but screenshots or image captures are not valid. Information on early voting locations is available on the National Election Commission's official website. As Korea awaits a new leader, the Presidential Security Service revealed to the media for the first time their agents in action training for the upcoming inauguration to ensure the event is held safely. Oh Soo-young takes us to the scene.
A gunshot. An attempted assassination of the president. Instantly and instinctively, top security agents spring into action, using their bodies to shield an actor posing as South Korea's leader. Pistols drawn, they quickly hustle him towards the vehicle, securing all sides before evacuating the president to safety. Ahead of the inauguration of South Korea's incoming leader next week, the Presidential Security Service, for the first time in its 62-year history, revealed its training to media outlets. The drills simulate the president's movements on the day of the inauguration and potential crisis scenarios, which include domestic and international terrorism. This includes a motorcade stretching across a 6-lane road. Over a dozen vehicles surround the presidential car, moving in close formation. Weaving around obstacles, agents create seamless mobility and swiftly neutralize an attack suddenly coming their way. Shooting drills also sharpen their ability to hit small specific target areas within a limited time and space with high accuracy. Practicing to perfection, the simulated exercises demonstrate collective readiness and each agent's ultimate dedication to protecting the elected leader of South Korea's democracy. The PSS says it will allow no room for error to occur on Inauguration Day to enable a safe and dignified occasion for Korea on the world stage. It intends to execute protection that anticipates and prepares for every possible scenario, maintaining a thorough security posture that also puts public safety first. The service will oversee the security of world leaders at the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in Korea this November. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
On the demographic front, more babies were born in March and more marriages were noted as well, contributing to a sharp increase in the latest quarterly number of births. Moon Ji-young covers the latest findings.
The number of newborns in the first quarter of this year recorded its highest in 3 years, driven by increased marriages and improved perceptions of childbirth. Data from Statistics Korea on Wednesday shows that a total of 21,041 babies were born in March this year, marking a 6.8% year-on-year increase. This represents the 9th consecutive month of growth and marks the first time in 10 years that March birth figures have increased compared to the previous year.
Last year, people started having babies again, having delayed doing so during the pandemic, and now it seems this is continuing this year. Additionally, we're seeing births from couples who married 2 years ago and last year being added to this trend.
The number of marriages also continued to climb, with 19,181 couples tying the knot in March, marking an 11.5% increase from the previous year. This marks the 12th consecutive month of growth, the longest upward streak since record-keeping began, and its highest level in 6 years. Some experts attribute this increase to changes in individual perceptions of marriage.
Even just 5 or 10 years ago, there were many times when marriage was viewed as something not very cool. There were also many extremely negative perspectives about it. But these days, it's true that those views have softened significantly.
Meanwhile, the number of divorces dropped by 3.2% from a year earlier. The country's total fertility rate, the average number of children a woman is expected to have during her lifetime, also edged up. It came in at 0.77, up 0.04 from a year earlier, with gains seen across all age groups from women aged 24 and under to those in their 40s and beyond. Despite the rise in births and marriages, the country continues to face a natural population decline. With 31,141 deaths reported in March, a 0.2% increase year-on-year, the population contracted by 10,100 individuals. Moon-jiyoung, Arirang News.
In the Middle East, food aid started being distributed to people in Gaza after weeks of blockade as the war drags on for 600 days now. An Song-jin has the latest.
Thousands of people stormed towards an aid distribution point, causing a stampede. Shots are fired into the air to disperse the crowd. On Tuesday, following almost 3 months of aid being blocked, the U.S.-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation distributed around 8,000 food boxes, or around 462,000 meals in the southern city of Rafah.
We want to eat, we're hungry, we have been humiliated with the communal kitchens and the water and everything. Look what they've put for us.
The Israel-Hamas war has reached the 600-day mark. Nearly 2 years into the conflict, more than 54,000 people have been killed and over 123,000 injured. Gazans suffer from severe food shortages and a lack of access to healthcare in the devastated enclave. Israel has faced widespread condemnation for the civilian suffering caused by the conflict. 600 days ago, on October 7, 2023, Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 and kidnapping more than 200 people. That led to massive Israeli military offensives, airstrikes, and a ground invasion of Gaza. Though ceasefire negotiations continue with mediators including the U.S., Qatar, and Egypt, a deal has yet to be reached. International organizations such as the World Health Organization urgently call for an immediate ceasefire and the release of all remaining hostages. An Song-jin, Arirang News.
The Trump administration has halted visa interviews for international students seeking to study in the U.S. as it prepares to vet their social media accounts. Lee Seung-jae has the details.
The U.S. government is now looking into mandating social media screening for international students who wish to study in their country. In preparation for the new review system, the U.S. State Department has ordered all diplomatic missions around the world to temporarily suspend visa interviews for international students. In an announcement made by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Tuesday, consular sections should not add any additional student or exchange visitor visa appointment capacity until further guidance is issued in preparation for an expansion of required social media screening and vetting. However, Rubio said that the government will proceed with interviews that have already been scheduled. Those looking to apply for the F, M, and J visas will see their interviews temporarily suspended. F visas are issued to students who wish to study at a U.S. university or review language training, while the M visa is for those who wish to receive job training. The J visa is for exchanges in the fields of education, arts, and science, particularly for exchange researchers and students. If the Trump administration does carry out the screening process, it could significantly slow down student visa processing, effectively hurting many U.S. schools that rely heavily on foreign students to boost their financial coffers. The government had earlier imposed a partial social media screening requirement, mostly targeting returning students who may have participated in pro-Palestinian protests. However, the latest order does not specifically say what the government would be screening for, but that it aims to keep out terrorists and battle anti-Semitism. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
A major event showcasing Korea's new maritime defense technologies has kicked off its 4-day trade show in the city of Busan, where a rivalry between the country's leading shipbuilders caught the attention. Our defense correspondent Kim Bo-kyung has the highlights.
A place to have a peek at South Korea's latest maritime defense technologies. The 14th edition of the International Maritime Defense Industry Exhibition, dubbed MADEX, kicked off Wednesday in the southeastern port city of Busan. Gathered were around 200 companies from 14 countries, as well as representatives from the naval forces of 29 nations.
I believe the innovative technologies showcased at this event will significantly enhance the combat capabilities of our Navy and greatly contribute to the expansion of K-defense exports overseas.
One of the most interesting features of the 4-day exhibition is the direct rivalry between South Korea's leading shipbuilders, HD Hyundai and Hanwha, whose boats are positioned directly across from each other.
This is a reminder of the fierce competition between two defense heavyweights vying for Korea's next generation destroyer, or KDDX, program. Aside from showcasing their own visions for the project to build 6,000-ton class next-gen Aegis destroyers, the two giants offered more to enjoy. Hanwha's 3 defense affiliates established a joint booth together for the first time, presenting a way for the future when it comes to naval platforms, incorporating manned-unmanned integrated systems and next-generation submarines targeting the global market.
In response to varying requirements from different countries, such as the exclusion of VLS or AIP systems, we are independently developing submarines equipped with lithium battery systems, enabling them to operate underwater for over 7 days.
HD Hyundai Heavy Industries also premiered a high-performance 6,500-ton class frigate to secure competitiveness in the global market, especially to meet the needs of advanced navies that primarily conduct anti-ship operations.
The frigates we are currently delivering domestically are smaller, at 3,600 tons. That is why we have independently researched and developed a new 6,500-ton class frigate capable of anti-ship operations.
LIG Next One and Hanwha Systems, contenders for next year's Naval Combat USV development program, are also showcasing their own tech. The 4-day event continues through Saturday, offering a glimpse into the future of maritime defense. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News, Busan.
Early summer heat with daytime temperatures approaching 30 degrees Celsius appeared today in many areas. It rose up to 26 degrees Celsius in Seoul, 28 degrees in Daejeon, 29 degrees in Gwangju and Kimcheon. As the heat gets stronger, the atmosphere will become unstable, leading to strong showers. Showers will continue in some areas tomorrow. We also need to be prepared for strong UV rays in these hot conditions. Ultraviolet rays will be very strong in most areas due to strong sunshine tomorrow. Please refrain from going outside between noon and 3 in the afternoon when the UV rays are at their peak. Tomorrow morning, Seoul and Busan will start off at 16 degrees, Gwangju at 15 degrees. Daytime temperatures will move up to 26 degrees in Seoul and Chuncheon, 23 degrees in Busan. Temperatures will continue to be nearly 30 degrees around the country throughout this week. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world. And that is Newscenter for tonight. Thanks for watching. A panel session up next.